Last year, some of the big legends included Roy Halladay, Carlos Delgado, and the big unit Randy Johnson. So now here are 10 realistic options we could see in MLB The Show 23. Let's start out with Timmy Lincecum of the San Francisco Giants. He was picked 10th overall in the 2006 draft and got called up a year later in 2007 to make 24 starts. And then in his second year in the big leagues, 2008, he won Cy Young with 265 strikeouts, a 2.62 ERA, and he went 18-5. How do you follow that up? You do it by winning the Cy Young for a second consecutive year. Lead the league in FIT with a 2.34, and he had a 2.48 ERA going 15-7. He had an even better season than his 2008 year. He followed those years up with back-to-back top 10 finishes in Cy Young voting in 2010, 2011, but nowhere near as good as his Cy Young seasons. And then just something happened. I don't know if it was all the pot got to his head or what, but then from 2012 to finishing his career in 2016, he was just a completely different pitcher. Didn't have an ERA below 4. His strikeout numbers declined drastically and his walk rate went up. I don't know if he got the yips or what happened. I don't think anybody ever figured it out, but he just was not the same guy. But in his prime, he was one of the best pitchers in the game, and that's why I think some of his cards could be really good. Give him a Cy Young card from either 2008, 2009, and the card should be really good with a super high K rate. Did not give up a lot of hits, so you know the hits per 9 is going to be juiced. And I think he'd be a well sought after legend. Another legend that I think a lot of people want in the game this year is Adrian Beltre. A 99 overall Adrian Beltre card would remind me a lot of what a 99 overall signature series Nolan Arenado card has looked like in year past. Super high 99 overall defense with a ton of power. And the fun part about Adrian Beltre cards is he could have a 99 overall for 3 different teams, similar to A-Rod cards did back in the day. I mean, hell, with the Dodgers, his age 25 season, he had 48 home runs and 121 RBIs, hit 334, came second in MVP voting that year. His Seattle years, he didn't have the same kind of power, but he does have 2 Gold Glove finishes there. Or you could go with his Rangers days. He didn't win MVP, but he won a hell of a lot of Gold Gloves, hit over 300 a majority of his career there. 30 plus home run seasons, led the league in hits in 2013. There's just a lot you could do with this card. He would be a lot of fun to use. So now let's talk about Jose Fernandez, because I believe on this list, he is the least likely to be in the game. He died tragically in 2016 in a boating accident, but it was later found out that he had cocaine in his system. And for that reason, I think they'll want to exclude him from the game. But people were devastated by his death. He was one of the most loved personalities in the game, only played 4 seasons, but he didn't have an ERA above 3. Had the nastiest slider I think I've ever seen. 3 of his 4 seasons, he averaged 11 plus Ks per 9, 2 top 10 finishes in Cy Young voting, including 3rd in his rookie season, age 20 season, where he had a 2.19 ERA, 187 strikeouts. The guy was disgusting. His loss definitely had an impact on the baseball world. I really want to know how his career would have panned out if he got to play another 10 to 15 seasons. We're talking about a guy who was probably on the bridge of a Hall of Fame career. You can never have enough switch hitters in your lineup, so let's talk about one of the best to ever do it in Lance Berkman. This card would have a little bit of versatility. He played outfield and first base throughout his career. He had 2 40-plus home run seasons, but the man was insane at hitting doubles. He had 55 in 2001. I think Lance Berkman is one of the more underrated offensive players in the game. I mean, in his career, he had over 350 home runs, a 293 batting average, 406 on base, and a 943 OPS. You combine that with a 144 OPS plus, and he did that for a 15-year career? The guy was just insane with the bat. I have a feeling like his swing would play really well in the game. He would have really high contact. Defense would be a little troubling, but you could just plug him at first base where it's irrelevant. And being a switch hitter, I honestly think he would be one of the best players in all of MLB The Show. Like, I'm talking up there with the Griffeys, the Mickey Mantles, the Babe Ruths. I just think the things he was really good at, the positions he can play, and just think of what a 99 overall card of him could look like. I think he'd be one of the better cards in MLB The Show 23. Really hoping we get this one. Let's talk about a legend that wasn't in the game that long ago in Ty Cobb. I want to say the last time he was in the game was MLB 20, so it's only been a 2-year absence. I think he was only in the game for a year or 2. Ty Cobb's a top 10 player in all of baseball history, even though he played in a completely different era. Like, we're talking about a season where he hit 5 home runs and 119 RBIs. So of course, he's not going to have a lot of power on his cards. He's the all-time leader in batting average at 366, had a 432 on base. And even though he didn't hit a lot of home runs, remember, different era, he had a 512 slugging and 943 OPS. You combine that with all his speed, he'd look very similar to how an Ichiro card would look like. Low power, but maxed out contact impact, great speed, and he'd be able to cover a lot of ground. Really unsure why they got rid of his rights. I don't know if there's a reason for it or not, but I'm hoping they get him back. One of the best cards in MLB The Show history is a 99 overall Carlos Beltran card from, I believe it was MLB The Show 16. And people want this guy back in the game bad. He was just elite in the game, and even though Berkman had a better career in my opinion, I think most people would rather have Carlos Beltran just because the impact he had in MLB The Show. He is a switch hitter with arguably the best swing that's ever been in the game, and there's a lot of different variations with his card you could do. He was really good on the Royals, winning Rookie of the Year. He had some insane seasons with the New York Mets where he hit 40 plus home runs, and he'd have a great mixture of power, contact, and speed. Some 40 plus home run seasons, some 40 plus stolen base seasons. He hit over 300 a couple times. You combine those stats with the best swing we've ever seen in the game and being a switch hitter, I can promise you this guy would be in everybody's lineup, especially if they bring Retro Finest back and they continue to juice those cards. Like, he would be damn good. Going back to another legend that was in the game not too long ago is Ted Williams. Ted Williams, another guy that you could say is right around the cusp of a top 10 player of all time. He's the last player to hit over 400 in a season when he did in 1953. A couple seasons of over 500 on base percentage, all-time leader in on-base percentage at 482. He also has 521 career home runs, a 344 average, and this was also where he missed 3 years of his prime because he joined the military. Multiple MVP awards, multiple insane seasons. I don't know why they lost his rights. I believe the last time he was in the game was MLB The Show 19, but Ted Williams is a guy similar to Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Minty Mantle, guys like that in years past where he'd have 125 contact both sides and 125 power both sides. MLB has to do a better job at getting the all-time greats into the game, and not like borderline all-time greats. I'm talking about top 10 players of all time like Ty Cobb and Ted Williams, and not losing their rights. So I'm really hoping they get both those guys back in the game. Ichiro recently retired in 2019, his age 45 season. The guy just played baseball for so damn long. And for those of you who don't know, when a player retires, SDS loses their rights to be in the game. They're not part of the players union. That's going to be all separate. And generally when a player retires and they lose their rights, it's about 3-year period before they get their rights back. I don't know if there's any reason for that. It's just generally what it's been. So for example, Albert Pujols just retired this year, so he's not going to be in MLB The Show 23, which is sad. So we may not see him in the game for about 3 years, if that trend keeps up. But since Ichiro retired in 2019, and it's been 3 years since we went through MLB The Show 20, 21, and 22, it's around that time where they might get his rights back. Ichiro's a player that people want in the game so bad, if they can find a way to fix contact hitters and make them more relevant. Just because Ichiro didn't have a ton of power throughout his career, 19 years, he only hit 117 home runs, but he was insane at everything else. He was one of the fastest players in baseball. He hit 311 for his career. He had the most hits in a single season with 262 in 2004. Let's also talk about the man had a cannon in right field. Prime Ichiro was nuts. He came over to the US from Japan, age 27, and just won Rookie of the Year, Gold Glove, Silver Slugger, and MVP with 242 hits, a 350 average, 56 stolen bases. I think with the World Baseball Classic going on right now, and a bunch of international eyes going to be on the sport in general, I think bringing in one of the most beloved international stars the game has ever seen would just be great for the game in general. There's been speculation over the past 2 years that Derek Jeter's going to be in MLB The Show, and I just don't get why he hasn't. They've teased him at least 3 times now. Do you remember during one of SDS's live stream where they showed a video of a legend and it was a shortstop and everybody thought it was Derek Jeter just for it to be his double playmate Alfonso Soriano? And let's talk about last year, how they decided to reveal the deluxe edition on 2/2. They know what they're doing. I'm honestly surprised he hasn't been in the game yet. Derek Jeter played for the New York Yankees, one of the most marketable players in all baseball. Everybody knows who he is. And for those of you who say he wouldn't be good in the game, like, can we just talk about how we get this Ozzie Smith card earlier in the year that has 100 power versus lefties? A guy that has like 30 career home runs? If Derek Jeter's in the game, they're going to juice the hell out of him. He'll probably be on the cover if he is, and they're not going to make a bad Derek Jeter card in his first year in the game. I'm guessing the reason he hasn't been yet is negotiating with him's probably a bitch. It's Derek Jeter. He's going to want all the money in the world to be in the game. But if he is, expect a 99 overall Derek Jeter card to be a hell of a card. So for the live series collection, I've been trying to think of a legend that'd be a big time reward if they kind of continue to do that. A lot of times with big name new legends, they like to put them in here, help sell packs since they don't really endorse that throughout the year. I believe Mickey Mantle, one of his first years, was a big collection reward. Soriano was the NL big time reward a couple years ago. This 99 overall Randy Johnson this year. So how about 99 overall Frank Robinson? I feel like this man doesn't get enough credit for how good he was. He was only 14 home runs short of 600 throughout his career. He won an MVP with the NL side of things on the Reds and the AL side of things with the Orioles. He had a 49 home run season that year with the Orioles where he had 316, a 410 on base percentage, and a 1047 OPS. He has some versatility being able to play outfield and first base just like Lance Berkman. The power on this card would be nuts, and I think his average was good enough where we can expect it to still be really high. We ain't gonna get somebody like Barry Bonds, Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire, any guys like that. So if we're talking about a realistic collection reward legend, who do you think it could be? In my opinion, Frank Robinson's a good choice, but let me know your thoughts. And those are 10 legends that I think could be in MLB The Show 23. I think all of them are realistic, with Jose Fernandez probably being the least likely. But let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. What is one realistic legend you want to see in this year's game? We should start getting some news about new legends coming soon within the next couple weeks. But be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of that news dropping. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.